Welcome to That Fashion Guys podcast, a place where I have a sit down with entrepreneurs, influencers, top performers, and creatives, and we discuss everything and anything between those lines. For this episode, I'm excited to host Mark Chacon. Mark Chacon is a local designer of the El Paso, Cruces area. He is a graduate of the New Mexico State University fashion program and is also the founder of Pinnacle, a clothing brand that specializes in women's and men's wear. You can find Mark and his work on Instagram at Pinnacle Couture. We'll provide a link in the description. And remember, if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, or even better, go ahead and share with somebody you think might like it. That would really mean a lot to me, and I would really appreciate it. With that being said, let's jump into this. Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm here sitting down with Mark Chacon, a local entrepreneur slash designer slash sex symbol, and everything in between. We're going to be talking a little bit about what it's being a creative person in a city that maybe doesn't foster creativity that much, what it's about being a young entrepreneur, and what's life after college. Mark and I attended the same fashion program at NMSU, and that's where we kind of met up and started talking about stuff, and we had a lot of similar ideas, and we had similar points of view on certain things, from fashion to business to like just innovation in general. And I decided to bring him aboard and start talking about stuff with him and see what's up. So what's going on, Mark?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm glad you had me on your podcast, man. I really respect everything you're doing, man, and I'm thrilled to see it pick up and everything. But yeah, man, I've been out here. I just recently graduated at
Recently joined the Taxpayers Guild of America.
Yeah, man, it's definitely overrated. But yeah, man.
Isn't it crazy? Like at least when I graduated, when I was ready to graduate, it took me so long to graduate. First and foremost. Not necessarily because a lot of people are like, oh man, I just had a hard upbringing and man, it just took me back to school no, dude, I just simply just life should happen, there was a semesters I would take just one class and just fuck around, and not necessarily anything bad happened, but just what I mean.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, finally I'm gonna graduate, and then I'm like, okay, I'm graduating, and everyone's like, yeah, once you graduate, like your life, you walk out and it's like, oh, so everything's still the same.
Yeah.
And then where are all these opportunities I was told about, or all these great things? And
right.
And what's even worse, like even towards the end of my degree, I was like, fuck, is this really what you're going to do like for like ever? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this really like what you're going to be about? And I was like, fuck, man. And like it's just been after graduation, I'm not sure if you share that same feeling, but it's like a journey of self-discovering and just questioning previous mindsets of what should be and what isn't.
Yeah, questioning the status quo and everything.
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
As cliche as that sounds, right?
Yeah.
That's one of those cliche words I hate a lot, because it's like, dude, it's like I hate people that try to be like cliche like that, think outside the box or question the system, or and I'm like, no, just stop it. Think for yourself, right? Yeah. Try to be like. It's kind of like how we're talking a little bit right now before we started the podcast about like those motivational people, the coaches that all they've done is that like they don't have a background and anything else, but that's all they do. They just say these power phrases or this motivationals, like, and people are like, and let's do this and then rise and whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, like,
stupid, but
let me see your background.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you have to show for and all that, man?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's why I respect how you brought up Gary Vee. Just a big influencer. I really like that, or the word you used, because that's what it is. This guy that didn't have much of an education is doing F's, D's in class. But look at him now, right?
Yeah.
Like, his empire he's created and everything. But yeah, man, that's kind of what's been going on with me lately, man. I'm just kind of I've just been working, man. I'm actually taking one class just to kind of help me further my skill, my designing skill, that draping class.
A little bit of parentheses. Let's before we get into that, how about you just give a quick summary of your background, like where you come from, who you are, just so people understand like the context of the conversation, because we just kind of started going with it.
Yeah.
Assuming
Like,
that
who is this guy?
People assume, something like you're like number one Mark, and the first person coming in Google search is you, something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, take a little bit of where you come from, who you are, your school, your designs, like all that good stuff, like a quick resume.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I'm actually I was raised in Deming here in New Mexico, born, and all this years later, I'm here back in Cruces. I was actually born here, so that's why I say back here. Big family upbringing, family of 8 brothers and sisters.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, just like legit Mexicans, huh? They didn't fuck
Legit
around.
Mexican. Nope. No TV, man.
Just
no
in
cable.
case the first 4 die.
Yeah,
before winter comes. Because we need more hands to farm.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of deal. There you go. Now you guys getting my background. Yeah, man, and it's crazy, a small town as Deming is. Yeah, I was always there, always the guy that was dressed different, man. He use different stares and like, what's this? Or, super conservative parents. Like, are you sure you're gonna wear those pants today?
Yeah. Why? They just show my ass. I mean, they're just chaps. They have holes in the back. But what's so bad? What's that frowned upon?
What's wrong with that? Nah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
man. So that's kind of me. Got over here to school. I was fortunate to get grants and shit, to study. And so I'm here, man. I just didn't want to mess around, I just kind of kept my head down, just went straight forward to get out of here ASAP. And now finding out, coming back to that, is kind of overrated. I'm over here trying to like, oh shit, man, there's no industry here, and what am I gonna do? Just working this shitty odd jobs, they have nothing to do with my career. But hey, man, that's what's paying the bills for now. As for that, you just kind of try to stay close knit with all the creatives around. In El Paso, I've been doing most of my fashion shows over there in El Paso, and just kind of networking, meeting up with friends from the program. They're just different people, kind of exchanging ideas. And just slowly, man, my brand name, it's under Pinnacle, and that's what's that's the whole drive, man. Kind of get that up, get that going, making shows, representing the brand name, letting people know who you are, especially out here. You got to take every little opportunity you can get your hands on, and go from there, man. And eventually, grow it, get some stuff produced. There's a lot of people that are supporting, that ask, hey, man, where can I buy the shirt? Or I like your logo, man. Let's get that in the tee. Or when can I hit you up about making something? And so it's definitely out there, man. It's just kind of on my part now, just to kind of pursue it, slowly but surely, for sure. And that's what I got kind of going on right now. But yeah, just connecting with everyone else on different levels, see what they got going on, see how I can help them, how we can help each other, see how we can watch each other, just succeed and grow, for sure, man.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, dude. Quick parenthesis, but make sure, I know you're really talking like really not emotionally, but very involved in the conversation, but you're moving your mic a lot, so make sure that, because you're like,
oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
In and out,
because you're trying to talk with your hands, because I'm also a talker with my hands, but you'll learn, like I'm learning to just have it still.
All right,
like
cool.
Yeah, that way so you can come out clearly, because I really like what you're saying, but I don't want it to like come in and out.
Yeah, kind of cut out. Yeah, for sure, man.
But yeah, that's cool, dude. And talking about your brand, what's it like about? What's the idea? What's the concept? What is it? Like, tell people what your brand is.
What Pinnacle is, for sure, man. Well, to start off, Pinnacle, just the word itself, Pinnacle means the highest point of something.
Okay, cool.
So that's what that is. In this case, the highest point of the fashion industry. That's what's kind of what that represents, what it means. The logo in itself, it's kind of pyramid shaped, and I'm not trying to
Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah, Illuminati, exactly. But that was not the idea at the time, but it kind of that's kind of what came up, and I was like, oh shit, well, it makes sense, it's like the tip top, and I mean, but just clearing the air,
I don't want to put him like, this guy sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah,
he's gonna be big, but he's gonna Illuminati confirm.
Yeah, exactly, man. But yeah, that's what that means all in itself. And Pinnacle, under that label, I want to make it grow into something bigger, just kind of have different segments, different departments, because I'm just into fashion in general, man, from like classy women's wear to like athletic to like urban, I'm all of it. So at a point eventually I want to make it to where Pinnacle has its subdivisions of different clothing to offer. But for now, the way I'm gonna approach it is I wanna master 2 or 3 patterns. You got to start small, got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just really master them, get those samples, and make sure that they work. Get them graded, and scale them up, sizes up and down, and just get them mass produced. And I've actually been working on my website, kind of try to get that going. I'm at a point where I just kind of need to put the stuff on there. I got to link the bank account and get that online store going on, and just go there, man. See how those designs sell. See what people think, and as demand arises, then I'll just have to go up myself and just meet that demand.
Cool. And we'll be putting your your contact information in the description, like your Instagram and so anybody that's listening that's interested in checking his work or contacting him, maybe some kind of joint venture or anything like that. We'll have all that info there. But that's pretty cool. Your clothes, from what I see, is right now at the moment, it's just women's and men's wear, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
both.
Cool. And what would you say your aesthetic is?
My aesthetic
In your design, at least for the moment, because I know it's always evolving.
Right.
But like right now, what are you really gravitating towards yourself?
What I'm really gravitating towards, man, I always find myself working with darker tones, like blacks, greens. It's just something about it that it's just the colorway that I'm getting. So I feel like kind of with that comes like the sort of like grunge, sort of punkier feel of fashion. So that's kind of what it's kind of just evolving into, I guess. But I kind of both extents. I kind of think of myself like somewhere somewhere in between Chanel and Alexander McQueen. Somewhere finding that balance. Because I don't know if you've seen some of my designs, but there's a vest that I have that outside is just like a leather punk ass vest, and then the inside it's lined with polka dots. So you know what I mean. So it's kind of when I try to explain it, that's kind of the best explanation I can give
like
people.
Like a grunge cheek.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, like a
somewhere.
grunge cheek. Yeah, I've seen it. I think it's pretty cool. Like just the combination of aesthetics, and I think it goes to that, like just something that we share. It's in common. It's that kind of just questioning and challenging the perceived ways of doing things. And I think it's very important, especially as somebody who has an entrepreneurial way of thinking, or has its trying to achieve the best, to be the best version of themselves. It's important to kind of sometimes just see what different ways of doing things. And I think a lot of at least from my personal experience, I think a lot of my years as you're growing up, they just kind of teach you to think within what this works.
Right.
Do this because this works. And kind of right now we're talking about education, and I was like, it's overrated. Not saying that education is bad, but the sense that it's we were told like, oh, you have to do this because this is the path to success. This is the only path to success. And
right.
And it's kind of just redefining which paths lead to success and what success is, and what success means to someone else could mean differently to me.
Totally different. Yeah, exactly. And this is just kind of a path that has been the one that has worked for most everyone. You know what I mean? So this is the path. This is what other people have done and become successful. But
and that's like, not to interrupt, but that's also like important to consider that just right now, you and I and people who are in school right now, or people who are coming up, we're just experiencing a complete change of how things are done, just because technology has been a big part into every industry, not just fashion or business. It's just every technology, and just there has never been an I think at this point we can honestly say that we are the most educated we've ever been as a society, humanity, because everybody has access to the internet, everybody has access to all these books online, everybody has access to lectures and podcasts and this and that it's all there, and now it's changing everything about doing business so much that it makes sense to them, to like the people who brought us up, from family to teachers or whatever, that worked for them. But right now it's very important, at least that's why I find myself like challenging those mindsets and seeing, it worked for them because things were different, it worked for people in advertisement in the 80s and 90s, but because they didn't have the internet, you know what I mean? It worked for people who are doing this like that because they didn't have this, and it's very interesting to start thinking about that and seeing, okay, we're just right now it's all different. It's
just a whole different time, man. And that's especially bringing up more in the fashion industry. I mean, that's what we're most familiar with. I'm sure you're even seeing how there's a lot of stores closing down, sales going down.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just being done way different, man. It's a path that we haven't trodden before,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Just
and
something.
it's I think it goes to show the importance of having that open mindset of and willingness to understand that things will change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of a lot of these stores that are closing down, just didn't evolve, you know,
Right, right,
like didn't do things properly. Like for example, Toys R Us was one of the more recent ones that filed for bankruptcy,
right.
even though it's not fashion, it is a retailer, and they were just wrong about doing their business. They didn't want to get into internet selling, so they
Mhm.
outsourced their selling to Amazon.
Oh.
So now Amazon was the one. It was just like a suicide, you know.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
outsourced their selling to Amazon, and Amazon were the one who carry out their online orders,
Right.
who fulfill their orders. So now you're making a third party do your job of selling, and then now that third party was growing more, and now Amazon, it is what it is, and what Toys R Us did, it educated people to shop on Amazon for toys,
Right.
and now that's why they're going out of business.
You
You know what I mean?
The need to go into the store
Yeah.
anymore in
They
person.
don't, you know,
Mhm.
and it's that kind of mindset of like not wanting to change or adapt or you know, see, for example, brands like Michael Kors or Coach, they had a big blow done to them because the millennial generation that was coming up wasn't into like the big logos and the branding, the heavy branding, you know. So it's like they had to rechange everything. Or for example, Abercrombie and Hollister, they made a business about making people what they were, like their advertisement,
Right.
and now it's all like people aren't into that, and they didn't adapt quick enough, and they took a big hit, you know.
Yep. I definitely see it. I heard from a friend. You know, I'm not sure how much truth this has to it, but one of the big name brands that I heard was having a hard time connecting with millennials. You know, in the more recent generations, is Ralph Lauren,
Mhm.
because of the you know, that classic feel to their brand, that to his brand, that that sort of timelessness, I guess you
Mhm.
could even call it. But now newer generations really are taking much to it. So
Like the traditional Americana.
there you go, traditional. That's what I was
Americana,
looking for.
like the Hilton's kind of we can, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
very upscale, very posh, very
Right.
polished,
Right.
very kind of look. Yeah, it's just simply outdated. And in brands like Ralph Lauren or
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Hilfiger, that capitalized on that, selling that concept.
Right.
It worked for them, but now that this generation's
It's-
coming up, it's just
mhm.
not. There's a lot of factors that go into
Right,
it that I
right.
think a lot of companies are not looking into it, just because. And this comes directly from like Gary Vee.
Right.
A lot of CEOs don't want to think they're wrong. They don't want to
Mhm.
acknowledge that they're
That they can't be wrong, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're who they are.
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah.
that they're right. They don't have the openness to be like, maybe I'm wrong. Let's see how we can do this better. And
Mhm.
a lot of factors going into like the new retail and fashion in general. When you have a generation that's growing up, that's having to graduate with excessive amounts of student debt,
Right.
that's finding it difficult to find a job,
Mhm.
and to them, prestige and luxury is no longer a thing.
Nope.
It's no longer a thing. Cause why? Because the millennial generation, generally their psychographics are very different, in where they find success. They define success as doing what you love,
Right.
versus
Exactly.
the generations like Generation X or Generation Y, which had different versions of success. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
like
It
the
was all
90s
in
was all about
digits.
the 90s was about like being rich and successful,
Yep.
and the 2000s was about being famous and stuff like that. And each generation, but the millennial generation has this mindset of let's do what you love, and then you have to understand that
Mhm.
when you start creating products and you start creating designs or you start creating marketing, is luxury is no longer a commodity for them,
Right.
and they're looking for things that communicate who they are, allow for
Mhm.
authenticity, and above all, that they can consume. You know, they have the power to buy.
Right.
And I remember one time in one of my classes, I had to do a analysis of a journal article, and it was about ethical fashion consumption. And what I found very interesting is that the millennial generation loves ethical fashion, but they're not willing to pay. They're not gonna pay it because they
They're the
can't
biggest
afford it.
hypocrites, huh?
No, yeah.
No.
Because they can't afford it.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
can't
well,
afford
that's the truth. Yeah,
They
you
can't
could
afford it
just-
because ethical fashion, ethically sourced fiber or something like that stuff, raises the cost of
Oh, yeah.
fashion, and it
Big
goes
time.
back to that demographic of the millennial generation. They graduate with either a high debt or a degree that isn't really functioning for them, just because the industry has changed so much and everything changes so much that, and also they're not taught how to be more independent, how to be more go-getters, you know.
Right, right. Yeah.
And also that mindset of just doing what you want, and it just changes the mindset to like more entrepreneurial, which I think in my opinion, it's becoming a dirty word. Entrepreneurial,
right, yeah.
because everybody's an entrepreneur now. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and I do everybody, you know.
Yep, yep.
And everybody's like or an influencer,
Yeah, exactly.
or even like the word creative
Exactly.
is also a dirty word for me. I don't like saying it, but I have no other way of conveying a concept,
Right.
because everybody's a creative now, you
Yeah.
know, or a content creator or this and that. And I'm so tired of those labels because they just make things bad. Like they're dirty, you know. They create standards of what a creative is versus entrepreneurial is, and that's not what it is, you know. That's why it goes back to the coaching, like motivational coach or life coach, and you see all these people that they say that's what they do, but they have nothing in their repertoire to support what they do, and you know,
Right,
they're
right.
telling people how to run their business or how to follow their dreams and this and that, and they themselves like have nothing.
And then they've never done it themselves.
Yeah, they're
That's
just good at
funny.
coaching others.
Right, right. But yeah, you know, on that on that note, you know, coming back to the sort of creatives and doing what you love, you know, I feel like as a collective, to make it work, because more and more people, like even that I'm talking to right now while in school, like they're realizing that that same mindset again of success is doing what makes you happy. They're realizing that they really don't want this 9 to 5 that you know that's gonna or this job that's gonna be swallowing up their weekends, and they don't want to go that corporate route. They want to be with their family, and more, you know, like I've always told everyone, I'm like, you know, like and it might be a little overstated, but I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what kind of where all that comes from, because you're trying to be on your own schedule, you know, you're still trying to make it, of course, everyone's got to pay bills. And but you want that freedom at the same time, and I always convey that to people. I always tell them, like, you know what, I'm trying to make it on my own, you know, I'm trying to find my own way, you know, like just trying to make it that entrepreneur's way. And they're and more they're like, you know what, yeah, like I'm realizing that I don't really want to like have that corporate job or have that
even
9 to
or
5.
even if you were to have the degree, like there's no guarantee of that corporate job, especially
once you get out.
once you get out. First, there's no guarantees in life. I mean,
Right.
I think this has to be built up on a lot of things first. I think there was like a lot of lies that we're told as you're young.
Yeah.
One of them is that follow your dreams or follow your passions. I think this is not the best advice, at least from my point of view, because there's a couple of factors. First, just because it's your passion doesn't mean you're good at it.
Right.
First and foremost, and I think that happens, at least with a lot of. I see that a lot of in our millennial generation, which I'm part of as well, is that mindset that I want to follow my passion. Well, that's great, but if you're not good at it, doesn't mean you're good at it, you know. And I think the second is that a lot of people, other things like do something you love and find a job in what you want to work with and what you love, and just because you love something and you like doesn't mean that's gonna create a job for you, you know. And then you have all these people graduating with degrees in like English or some degrees that don't have a. Not they don't have a purpose, but they don't have a business sense. You know what I mean?
Right,
they're not as
some sort of success,
they're
like
not as needed in the market right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like building off of that. It's the whole having when you're in school and then you're going to college and you're learning all these classes that you're like, what does this benefit me? How does this add a value to me? How does this gonna better my skill set? Like I remember taking astronomy, and I'm a fashion major. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why? Like why?
Those classes you kind of question, like, okay,
like why?
What am I doing
Why?
here?
Like like why? Like why? Like it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like we had to take like
viewing a wider world.
And I don't know what class I took. I took some class. I don't know. I just took some weird classes sometimes. I try to gravitate to classes I think I would enjoy.
Right.
Because I had to take them. I was like, if it's gonna happen,
you might
enjoy
as well,
it.
Yeah.
But you know why? Well, I took about something like about unexplained mysteries of astronomy and that, and we talked about like dark matter and like parallel universes. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, but I'm not gonna be like trying to manage a store or trying to lead a project, and they're gonna sit me down and be okay. Before you start, tell me what's the difference between dark matter and antimatter, and I'm like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Everywhere to run the store in
Yeah.
this parallel universe.
The probably thing, the other thing to tell me is like, would there exist a parallel universe where you don't suck at running a store? And I'll be like, no,
get out of here.
No. But I mean, it goes back to like that, like where do you want to go with your skill sets and stuff like that, and just following. I mean, following your dreams and things is important, but I think it's also important to build a compromise to the reality of the world you live in. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
You
gotta be a realist.
Yeah. What I tell people that I've one time I heard this in one of the podcasts I listened to, and this guy was talking about like draw 3 circles, right?
Right.
And they overlap like in the middle, and then 2 lap. You know, like kind
the
of
whole
like a Venn
Venn
diagram.
diagram.
Yeah. And it said one of the circles is gonna be something you are passionate about. Second, another circle is going to be something you can get paid to do. And the third circle is going to be something you're good at. Okay? Whatever those 3 circles meet in the middle, that's what you should pursue as a career.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
That's definitely some good advice.
So, pursue something that you're passionate about, that you're good at it, and you can get paid to do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people pursue, like, either their passion and they're good at, but they can't create an income out of it, you know? Either because they're in the wrong part of, like in the wrong area, and they can't, or stuff like that. I mean, until now, that I think that's something that has worked well for me. It's just finding myself, and it's important about knowing, like, thinking about the long run. I think a lot of times we think about like, oh man, I'm struggling right now, or I'm not where I want to. But you have to think about the macro, like in the large, in the spectrum of things. Like 1-2 years in a job that maybe it's not a dream job, but it's a job that's gonna create your skills. That's gonna get you the connections or whatever. That's gonna take you where you need to be. It's well worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
You know?
It's worth it. Yeah. And another note on that. Gary V. You know, I know we've brought him up a couple times, but
I know his ears must be ringing. I'm just kidding now, but they probably are all the time because people are talking about him all the time. He actually dropped some shoes today.
Oh, he dropped some shoes today?
Yeah, he did a collaboration with K-Swiss.
Yeah. Oh, right. I'll have to check those out for sure.
I think they're like black with like citron green.
Oh.
But yeah, I think he's gonna revive K-Swiss with that.
Wow. Well, let's see, man, because they really need to come.
I had completely forgot about them. I didn't even know they existed. Like I was gone with like. I didn't know like where they had been or what has happened to them until like he said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do like my K-Swiss."
Yeah,
K-Swiss.
Like, what? Hold up, man. What are you doing? No.
Hold up, fam. What's up?
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, anyways, you were saying about him.
Yeah. You know, he says he says even if you go all in into trying to start something, a business or something, you take 2 or 3 years. Hey, worst case scenario, it didn't work. Now go find a job. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's the way
and it's about like it goes back to like things he's said and things he teaches is that just you can double down on what you're good at. You know, if your passion is design, just find a way to make that capital. Like you can capitalize on it. Yeah. If you're good at talking to people and making people laugh, find a way to do it. And now I think we live in a society where, in an era where we can make that happen just because of technology. You know, like you can now, like you as a designer can now create your own designs and sell directly to a consumer through the internet, versus before you had to have a retailer. You know what I mean? Now it's easier for you to just connect. Now for you as a designer, it's easy for you to connect with your consumer through like various social media platforms or online marketing. And you can sell it directly to them. You can literally have a fashion show in your living room and broadcast it to the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And that's something I thought about. That's so cool to do. Imagine, like, you have this idea you have to have a fashion show and people have to walk.
Right.
And then you also think about it, too. Like, sometimes I know a couple of, like, just like, local designers from El Paso, and I tell them, like, I think you'd probably be better off if you took your designs to the fucking swap meet and sold them than if you had a fashion show. Because when you do a fashion show, it does help you with that networking and that branding, but like, who are you showing to?
Right.
The mom of the model?
Right.
Like, not seriously, like, no offense to that.
The grandma,
but you said, you know what I mean?
I get it, yeah.
Yeah, like a bunch of elitists who think they want to look cool and we're in a fashion show, they're not going to consume your product. You'll be probably better off if you're going to invest so much time into a fashion show, create a line, build a website, and sell it.
Yeah,
or take your stuff and sell it to a swap meet where there's people willing to.
And they actually went there to buy
shop.
or spend to shop.
Yep,
exactly.
And then you have a better chance of probably be better off like that.
And I totally agree, and I'm glad you bring that up because I've done recently I've done what is it, like 3 fashion shows, and they're a lot of work, man. They're a lot of work. They're exhausting. They consume money. Like, you have no idea. Fabric ain't cheap.
There's no return of investment on them.
Exactly. There's no return of investment, and I mean, you get some networking, but at the end of the day, I don't think it outweighs the cost. That's why I told myself, you know what? Like, after this last fashion show I did, I'm just gonna not do fashion shows for a little bit and focus on my brand. Focus on perfecting those patterns. Focus on getting those produced. Focus on my website, and see where that leads. Because at this point, I'm not at a point where you could be giving your time,
your materials and all that. I mean, if there was going to be an ROI where you'd be at least in a city where it had a strong fashion industry, where you would be noticed by someone influential or somebody that can help you out,
an actual buyer or something.
Or like someone scouting for talent for a company or something like that. I can still believe it a little bit more. But even then, I think you're probably honestly, to me, and you're not the first person telling me that. I've talked to a guy who is in fashion. I hopefully want to have him in the podcast later on. But he did the whole fashion show stuff, dude, and he's like, it's just not worth it, man. It's not worth it. It's not. It's just you get, and he even did fashion show management. It's like, you don't get paid enough. If they pay you,
if they pay
you, you put in so much time, and the only people that look good are the people who have the whole thing.
Right.
Because you'll be forgotten. You'll be gone. You'll be another more designer.
Just one more.
Yeah, and then, I mean, that's something that when I would sometimes help out in fashion shows, that's something I realized. I'd be like, man, talent is great, but you have to really have that business sense. Like, fashion is, I would say, 90% business, dude.
Yeah.
And 10% talent. Because you see all these great guys, all these amazing designers, they're not anywhere. But then you see all these crappy designers, and they're like,
yeah, and they made it.
They made it.
Like, whoa, what happened
like
there?
You have somebody who prints like graphic in a shirt, and then sells it, and he becomes a successful business. Yeah. And then you have this person who's amazing at pattern making, or like pattern making or building bustiers or whatever. Like, amazing technical skills and good job. Like, nobody, you know what I mean?
Or that's just stuck working a job making patterns for someone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny, you totally get it. But here's an idea. How about a fashion show where where it's actually an auction? When people walk in the door, you give them a little paddle.
or just skip it, man. Skip that and do a pop up.
Yeah,
honestly,
do a pop-up.
Pop-ups are just more. I think pop-ups were a big thing back in 2010, 11 when it kind of became a thing, but now they've kind of gone.
Yeah,
but they're very secretive now.
Yeah.
That now there's more. They're coming
back.
back.
In that community. Yeah.
But I think doing a pop up, dude, and you'll be better off. Honestly, you'll be better off. Do a pop up, man. Get some some local band that also wants to like co-network, and then just like, hey man, play my pop up, or a DJ, and then collaborate with other people. Bring people in and just start. And I think also that goes. Something that I'm not sure maybe you've experienced, at least I have. Sometimes I feel not a lot of people, but I've had issues with people that it's like they believe themselves too valuable. They're not down to collaborate. They're not, because they think they're the shit,
Yeah.
And I think that's a big no. At least from my experience, and this goes back to Gary Vee. It's like, you shouldn't be you don't be afraid to like. He says like, I never was feeling bad because I left money on the table.
Right.
Like, if it's fine, because it's like he says I don't feel bad giving you all this information, all this thing about how I run my business and how I think for free, because I know later on that's gonna return to me.
Right.
Because you'll go buy my books, or you'll go buy listen to my podcast, or you'll be talking about me in your podcast. You know what I mean? It's not like that, like as right now. But at least that's what I'm learning to do. And like I've been finding it so complicated to collaborate with people, at least here in the city, like like either creative people or entrepreneurs, stuff like that, because it kind of sometimes feels like they're doing you a favor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, and I understand like people's have time and people's valuable, but it's about networking and creating those real connections versus like, oh, we're just cool because we're both influential, but whatever,
No, it's making it. The way I see it, man, it's making it together, man. You know what I mean. And I have a friend that he says, it's not about me eating, is that we all eat together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and that's cool, and I respect that. And I've recently been exchanging this with different creatives, you know, around the area, and be like, you know what, I know you're trying to do your brand, I know you're trying to do your store, and we're all trying for it, but what if for a bit we just kind of set that pride aside, and as a collective, as a group, we like start some shit. Like you have these machines, you have these resources.
Like a movement.
Yeah, I have these resources that are different from what you have, and this guy, he has all this other stuff that's different from what we have. Let's bring it all together, and let's make something happen.
Let's find what skill sets each of us have that others are lacking, and build. And that's how you start like amazing companies. You know, like how Google started. That's how fucking Apple started, when they just started doing shits in like garages, when you get people that someone who's really good at business, like it was what's it called? The guy from Apple, I forgot his name. Steve.
Yeah.
He was really more of a business guy, and just like develop ideas, and then he got like technicians that were really good at building stuff, and then just shit happens, you know.
Yeah, you get that exactly, man. You know, you get that collective going, and I really hope, like how I said, you know, I've been talking to cool people, and if I know you'll be down for it.
Yeah,
too,
for sure.
willing, you know, to help out and all. But I hopefully we get this going, you know, just locally, you know, and whoever wants to join in, like have open doors, you know, just like just have everything under one roof, and like just kind of go for it, you know. And
yeah, like when I think about it, like all you have is people are like, oh, I'm having a pop up, or I want to pop up, and I'm thinking, why don't you get 4 or 5 local designers / businesses, put them together in one mega pop up. Put them all together. Yeah, just grab 4 or 5 people who have businesses or designs, put them together, grab some people who like either a band or a DJ or some kind of entertainment, throw it in there, and you're good. You're solid.
Yeah.
You're solid.
You just made an event happen, you know?
Yeah, if you need to rent a place, just spend the cost between 5 people versus 1 person. You know what I mean? Why make it so hard on yourself? But it goes back to that pride or that ego.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure if this is my, I want to say it's a theory, because I'm not a scientist, right? But this is my way of I infer based on the presented evidence that I was saying it's an inference, so it's an educated guess.
Right.
Is that I think a lot of people here, at least in our region, are like that, just because there's not a lot of creative people per se. So those that are there think they're cut above the rest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have been a couple of times to California, and I would met people, a lot of creative talents like that, through design schools and stuff over there, and they worked along each other, like they would help each other, like someone who's good at graphic design will work somebody, but they would make amazing things, dude. But I saw the differences because of that. What I say is like, it's because everybody here is really good. So there's no ego, you know?
Right, everyone's on the same level.
Yeah, there's no there's a competition, but there's more willingness to collaborate.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh, cool. It's like, oh, great job. You did a great job, but everybody does this the same, you know?
Yeah,
and the good, like, everybody's good. There's a lot of talent.
Sense,
yeah. There's a lot of talent. Like, but here, since there's not a lot of talent, somebody does something, like, oh my God,
I could do it better.
Yeah, like, people are like, you're the best thing ever, but I'm like, well, you're saying the best thing ever, not because necessarily the designs are bad or the concepts are bad. It's just there's nothing else to choose from.
Compare,
you know what I mean?
In comparison, yeah.
And then that creates the envy, and that creates the battle. Like, I'm not gonna help them. I'm not gonna work with them. Like, fuck that person. You know? And you might see them yourselves in public. Hey, how's it going? How are you? But it's like, you're never gonna collaborate.
Yeah.
You're never gonna work with yourself.
That's never gonna happen.
You know? And that's my theory, because I've seen that happen a lot in a couple of fashion shows I've helped locally. When I did that, and then people I try to network with, like, there was this one designer guy. He really had good designs, and I told him, dude, I'll do your marketing, like I'll do your branding. I just want to learn how to do this. I have some cool ideas, like with social media and all that stuff. Let me try them out. And somebody has a product for me to try it out, completely free. And he's like, well, I don't know. So I'm like, dude, come on, like.
Yeah, what are you losing? You know, like, what, dude, I'm offering this for free. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you? But I don't know. And going back to that, I feel like, maybe some people feel like there's not enough to go around. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there is, because what your niche or what you make, it's gonna be different than one from this other person makes and everything. And as a collective, you know, you draw more attention, you draw more numbers. Like, you know, people see a crowd and they're like, oh shit, you know, what's going on? They see one dude there, then they're like, all right, cool, you know, whatever. But you know what I mean? So
I don't quite remember the story well, but did you ever hear about a group of people called the Antwerp 7?
Antwerp 7.
There were a group of designers from Germany,
Okay.
and there were 7 designers. They graduated from some top design school in Germany,
Okay.
from what I remember. And they didn't let them show in a fashion week. I'm not sure it was New York. I think it was New. They wanted to show, but they wouldn't because they weren't big designers.
Right.
So what they did, the Antwerp 7, which was 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call it Antwerp 7. I think the school was somewhere in Antwerp, Germany.
Oh, okay.
So what they did is they actually did a fashion show right outside the market during Fashion Week, and they started doing that, and that became their thing.
Became a thing.
Yeah, thing, and now I mean they became successful.
They have
Just
their whole
because
thing
taking
going
that
on now.
that collective mind, that let's work together, and then just also again not only not afraid to work with others, but also the willingness to challenge the way things are done.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
why do I have to put
Why does it
why do I
have
have to be
there?
in here?
Why
Yeah.
do I have to go all the way over there?
Yeah,
Mhm.
why do I have to get this middleman? I'll do my stuff here.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do it
Yep.
all here.
Yep.
I'll do it all here. Why do I? It's kind of the same thing like as we're talking about like fashion and retail and stuff like that. Like, why a lot of companies are struggling now is that, especially department stores, is it because the vendors are like, well, if I can sell directly to the customer, why am I going to sell your stuff to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then where I can maximize my profit if I sell directly to the customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I can get to them through websites, why do I even have to have a store?
Why do I? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it go back to like, and that's like a little thing also I've been thinking about, like when it comes to retailers and how a lot of them, like I'm thinking about what's going to happen later on with companies start building that momentum where they're like, I no longer need to sell to this store because now I can sell directly to the customer.
Directly, yeah. Cut the middleman.
Cut the middleman. What's going to happen then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, it's struggling because technology changed it and people are shopping online. But what's going to happen when you have brands that now start building, with 3 years, are going to start building the capacity to have that cash flow to actually sell directly to a customer
Yeah.
versus having to have the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to like that whole Antwerp, like going back to Antwerp 7 and how they work together and how they just challenge the way things were done and be
The
like, let's
norm.
do things differently. Like, why do we have to do that?
Found their own kind of their own way around it, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
and that's much respect, and that's respectable, man. Because something I hear, like I understand going to a bigger city and how there might be more opportunities. There's more people, like more things are going on. But at the same time, I tell people around here, they tell me a lot, like, hey man, you gotta go to a bigger city. You gotta go to LA. You gotta go to Cali. You gotta go to New York. That's where all your opportunities are at. And at the same time, I'm like, you realize that we have the internet nowadays, right? And that, you know what I mean? And I feel like if you're gonna make it, you're gonna make it.
There's I
anywhere.
think there's a misconception that you have to be in a certain place to achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of factors go into it. First thing, you go to a large city like LA and stuff like that, there's much more challenges because there's much more people wanting what you want.
Right, exactly.
So that makes it difficult. And another thing I think is that just because something came out of a city doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So, for example, a lot of people, especially in tech, are going to Austin because it's like it's like a tech thing.
It's a thing, yeah.
But the only thing that come out of Austin has been Twitter and I think Foursquare or Squarespace. I don't know, one of those two. Something with space.
Okay.
It's one of the only things that's actually come out of fucking Austin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Twitter and that. And Twitter isn't doing all that great. And I don't remember the other company well, but it's one company. It's like everybody goes there because they want to do something like in tech, and they're like, what has come out of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Gary Vee mentioned that. And it's like, just you have the technology, you have the means.
Yeah.
Like, it goes back to like, okay, you can't have a fashion show, like you can stream it. Like literally,
exactly.
You can have a fashion show
Mm-hmm.
in the space and then stream it,
Yep.
live stream it. And how cool would that be? Because like people are now so engaged in technology, like the cell phones, like the TV, dude. They're like, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there. Like live streaming
Exactly.
of Facebook. How cool would that be?
Well, I don't know if you kind of tuned in, but that's once I've had my fashion shows, like I understand that people have shit to do. People are doing other things, or sure they just don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always gone someone to like, hey, you know,
live stream it,
here's my phone, or here sign into my account and live stream it, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
So,
And then what's cool is that not only does it stream at the moment, but once you're done, it uploads and stays there now.
It's
recorded.
Oh, okay,
and it's
sweet.
so easy. You know, it's
Mhm.
just there.
Yeah.
Because now you can actually download it and upload it to YouTube, or just keep on sharing it on
Oh.
Facebook. You know,
Yeah.
keep on sharing on Facebook, and it's like so easy. Like
Keep it going.
just think about like how much of an overhead cost would you cut if you were to think about doing a fashion show instead of having to rent a place and get chairs and then promotional and stuff like that, dude. Just get a space.
Oh yeah.
Get a space where you can have people walk and then just do the fashion show from there, dude.
It'd be amazing, man.
And
I think
stream it, and like you don't have to spend so much money like on renting a venue or renting catering or whatever.
Yeah.
You might spend some money if you want to get some
Maybe
people to help you out film.
Yeah,
Maybe like a more
some cameras, a
professional,
good crew.
Or even like you can do it with your phone, dude. Like the
Yeah.
iPhone cameras, cameras on phones
phone
are so good.
cameras, they're just so good.
They're so good
nowadays,
now.
man.
It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
You know, and I'm really picturing it right now. You're saying it. What if you just get like a decent sized room, and how cool would it be if you just paint it all white and you just have different cameras and different angles, and you're just switching the cameras like all around as they're walking through, and
Yeah.
that's much better,
Yeah.
you know.
That's like, think about it, that, and then that becomes something that's already recorded, and it's already
and you could
filed,
replay
play
it,
it,
look
and
at
send
like
it,
on the
and
instant, you know.
send
Just
it to
contact your buyers.
Yeah,
just contact.
send it to potential buyers, send it to retailers, promotional
Scouts,
people, influencers,
scouts,
whatever.
yeah.
Boom. Versus having a fashion show that's gonna be like, yeah, it's so glamorous at the moment, but it's gone
Yeah.
later. You know.
Yep. And you'd save yourself so much work too, you know, the whole setup, the whole crew, like shit, you know, like people aren't dressed at the right time, you know, the stress goes behind the scenes. But yeah, man, it's a good point, you know, coming back, you know, we have all the means. Why not go ahead and do it? Just maximize your time and cut your cost, and that'll make
Be
it.
smart. Just be smart about how you do things. Like, you don't have to be super fancy. I think a lot of people, especially, I say that, I feel like I feel like I'm saying this a lot. The word "a lot of people." I just caught myself as I'm speaking. I think I've said it a lot of times. They should probably play a drinking game, one shot every time you say a lot of people. Well, let me change the word. Like, what I see sometimes is that people are very, like you said, the glamour, are very, very caught up in the whole vanity of it, like looking good and being cool and uploading this picture and that. They don't. How much can they save on cost, or how much can they reduce this and that, or on time, to actually focus on their product, or focus on the company, or focus on whatever they're doing to maximize that,
Right.
versus trying to be impressing others. Like, show up, create the product or whatever it is that you do, and then later that will bring that people, you know, like instead of focusing on how, because those people, I see it, not see it all the time, but I've seen like people who have like a fashion line, or want to have a fashion line, or they want to have like some kind of brand, and they start uploading pictures and like, oh, watch out, we're coming, and this and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like or like you see it right away, like those online millionaires, like they sell, they have like YouTube, not YouTube, like Instagrams, where they're like on the beach, or they have
Yeah,
pictures,
that
like,
they're trying to sell that lifestyle.
yeah, the entrepreneurial lifestyle, and then it's like, but what? I've never see you in the, you know what I mean? In the
Well,
pictures.
wait, where's your garage?
Yeah,
like, where do you just?
Like, where are you? But it's just all like, I've seen that. I knew one guy that wanted to do like a brand, and I'm like, okay, cool. What is it you're gonna sell? Oh, it's just a brand. And I'm like, okay, like a lifestyle event, and because you can do a lifestyle brand, like sell an idea of a lifestyle. But he's like, no, I just want to do like a brand, and he named it like last name after himself and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. But he would just upload pictures, but he didn't have like substance, you know. It was just about and I see that like people who like to talk about it.
Right.
Who like to talk about it instead of like going and putting in the work.
Right.
And that's like one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because I know I've seen you, and I know you're someone who goes and puts the work, you know, and puts in the work and makes it happen, and it's not caught up in this whole like, oh, like fashion show and this and that, and I'm gonna have fashion here. Like, you're just showing up and putting in the work.
Right.
And making things happen.
Get the raw cut, you know.
Make like be a maker. And there's so much right now, like online, especially social media and everything, that's like a creative thing. It's like all these people who just want to have that title.
Right.
And
Without putting in.
Like, and you'll see like even on the Instagram like bios or Twitter, entrepreneurial or CEO of, and it's their company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's their brand, or like life coach or leader or development. You know, all these things. And you're like, what's your? I'm not saying that some people don't have the resume, you know.
Right.
But don't come and talk to me about leadership or professional development if you've never done it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have something to support it.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like all that should come after you already made it big, right? That's how it should work. But on the same note, like not bashing on people that might do that or anything, or like
low key shade, low key shade,
throwing in that salt. But you know what I mean. You see like, oh yeah, I'm making a clothing brand, and they literally just like went to a print shop and got like some shirts made with some logo, and like, all right, well you printed a logo on the thing. Right? did you make that tea or like
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? But like
Yeah, and not
throwing-
that, and like you said, not there's anything wrong with it. You
Mhm.
can like be if that's your thing. If the thing is that you have to understand what the market is willing to pay for,
right,
and
right.
if you understand that people are willing to pay for just the logo on a T-shirt, you'll be stupid not to do it. Like honestly, think about
True,
it. If you're an
true.
entrepreneur and you're about
About making the
making
numbers
making
and
numbers,
mhm.
if that's what people want, that's what you're gonna do. Like
True.
you can't also be like
Bashing on anyone.
bashing as a creative person, as an entrepreneur, but you can't be like hating on how things should be. You have to react how things are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and to me, there's nothing wrong with like saying, yeah, I'm gonna start a T-shirt brand, but it's both back to how you say it. It's not about like, don't be saying that you have a clothing line, like a designer clothing line, when you're just. But what you can do is, which it should be different if you were to create the designs and print them, which is still different.
Okay, yeah, then
You know what I mean?
could respect the art of it. You know
yeah,
what I
you
mean?
create the designs,
Yep.
maybe create designs, and
That's
then you're like a graphic designer, because I know
Yeah.
people like that. They're graphic designers. They make designs and they
Mhm.
print them on
Mhm.
T-shirts, which
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah, graphic tees. I respect that for
Yeah,
sure.
but like just taking, it's different.
like just you know what I mean though.
Yeah.
Just like whatever, just like a name and just slapping it on something. You know. But yeah, I mean at the end of the day, you know, if you're out there and you're hustling, then I respect it, you know.
Yeah, and it's like it goes back to like where I'm saying the whole responding to what the market is and what the market wants,
The market needs it.
and then like that kind of also ties into the whole having a degree stuff. It's like the market doesn't care like who you are. It just cares of what you do and if that has value, you know.
Right.
So like if I were to come up to you and be like, hey man, like I have this really cool device, it's like a phone, let's say it doesn't like the charge lasts like for a week,
Right.
it lasts for a week, dude, it's like bomb proof or whatever, and then you're like, oh cool, wait a minute, do you have a degree? No, I don't want your product. You know what I mean? No, it's not gonna happen. That's not the marketing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be like, oh, you have this great item or this great service or great product, oh, but you don't have this. They don't care. Like
Right.
Facebook, like Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't finish college, and he created this platform for everybody.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's like the market doesn't care.
Yeah.
The market doesn't care. It's like, oh, like it's like, oh, like I have this design, this collection of clothing. It's like, oh, but you didn't go to design school. You're not a true designer because you're just creating graphic prints. I'm like, yeah, but the market doesn't care. It's like if people are willing to pay for it,
Yeah.
they're gonna pay for it.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
And
the
then-
numbers is what's gonna show who's.
Yeah, and I think a big problem with designers is that they need to, at least my opinion, is that they need to understand the business aspect of it and find that balance, because you can be an
Find
amazing.
that
I've seen
balance.
great people. I've seen people do some amazing work, but people aren't willing to buy it. And it doesn't matter. Like, and I think this is important. Something I learned over time is that fashion is not art. Like,
right.
fashion is a business. It's not. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care if a design. Like, I did visual merchandising for a couple of years, and to my visual merchandising team, I would tell them, I don't care if your merchandising presentation is amazingly good and it should belong in the Met Museum. If it doesn't sell, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't serve me any purpose, you know. And I think
that's
designers
the truth of it, you know?
designers need to remember that they're designers. They're not artists. A design has a purpose, has a
Right.
utility to it. You know, that's the difference between art and design. A design has a purpose to that. There's a utility to it. You know, graphic design or fashion design or product design, because you created something that has a utility.
Right.
It's not art, and I think the problem is a lot of designers get caught up in the artist part. And they want to create all this great
putting all
things.
that work in, or you know,
Like-
those micro details,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
at
yeah.
the end of the day,
Like you create a shirt that has 100 slashes and then all this studs and stuff like that, and then you take that to a pattern maker. How is it gonna pattern make that?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it looks great. Like it might be draping and just stress and everything. That's awesome. But how are you gonna take that to a pattern maker? And then think about all the cost of making it.
Right.
Like the production cost of making it.
Right.
You're buying fabric to destroy it, which is already like you're wasting money. 'Cause you're
That's the first. The first.
and then how are you gonna fit all this in a maker, in the marker? I'm sorry, the marker, right?
Yeah.
How are you gonna put this? How are you gonna arrange it? And then the second is like, how are you gonna create it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
All those
how are you gonna
technicalities.
stitch it?
Yeah.
How much is it gonna cost to have somebody go slash it? Because it's not gonna be able to be produced like a machine, like quick. You have to have people that have to slash it, and you know, all this stuff like
Production cost.
yeah, production costs that they don't see that. Like, and I say like to them, yeah, I know it's cool and amazing, and if it was it was possible to make them, you already have seen that in major design
Yeah,
clothing stores.
and already would have
But
hit
it
the
doesn't.
shelves
It doesn't. It's too expensive to make.
to make. Yeah.
But they still want to make a business out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those can be like unique, small run collections that it's all done by hand. But imagine trying to mass produce a distressed T-shirt that has like all those details
All
and
the little.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about it, and still trying to like mass produce it and then try to have it sell. Like, how much would the markup be? You know what I mean? How much?
Yeah, definitely.
How much would it cost just to make that? So that's what I think we're important when it comes to like designers, and they need to understand that with designs they have to be sellable. They have to be things people want. And I think the ones that are really good at it are the ones who like you see right now. They're like on top of the fashion industry or something like that. And even then, I still question. Like, I'm not a big fan of the big designers. Honestly, I feel like design houses like Chanel or Louis Vuitton and stuff like that.
Right.
I just think they are. I feel like they never change. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They never innovate because they're smart. They're business.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going back to what sells.
Yeah,
But I think right now the biggest influence for like fashion comes from like street styles and street brands.
urban.
They're
definite.
trying to push the boundaries a little bit more. You know, so I think right now it's a really interesting concept in fashion, because before it would be very trickle down when it came to fashion. You had all these big design firms that created designs and trickle down, but now you see a lot of trickle up, trickle up and trickle across. Just because the internet and and technology have made it so easy to trickle across and move things across, that now you don't have to wait. You know. And just the concept of authenticity and being more you versus being part of a brand and like the concept of luxury. It's no longer that influential.
Right.
As being authentic.
Yeah, and that's one of the brands that I would eventually like to get into. Well, that's actually how I started. How I got my embroidery machine. Is that I wanted to sell a product that was you. That wasn't something. I mean, of course, I would make it, right? But
but had more character to it.
Exactly, and the way that I was gonna get that across, is I'd make you like a shirt or an exterior top, and on that with my embroidery machine, I'd custom embroider it to something that says you. You know what I mean? Kind of, and when I was pitching this idea, an input that someone gave me once was like, sort of a coat of arms, like a coat of arms that you wear that says what you do. Like,
that's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for example, my shirt that I have custom embroidered, it's got my C design, and then it has the Chacon mechanic patch, you know, my last name, and just like that, so I could tell it to you, or like okay, you're a designer, okay, let's put some scissors on it, you know, let's put a measuring tape, or what do you want on it, like what's it gonna make it yours, you know?
That's really awesome, dude. That's fucking cool. I hadn't thought about that. That's a really cool thing. Like, just really sell that authenticity of creating a product that people feel more connected to.
Exactly.
Because at least, I mean, I feel tired. Well, not tired, but it's annoying sometimes, like going to a place and like not everybody, but more like, do you have a shirt and someone else has it? Or, you know what I mean? It's kind of awkward. Yeah. Or you have a style that's very similar. I think it's important to kind of really just spice it up. I mean, not everybody, of course. I think it's important to understand that not everybody's down to be like super out there in the fashion.
Right. In the fashion.
Some people are very comfortable with a very minimalistic look, but it's to each their own. But in my case, sometimes I like to stand out a little bit more.
Exactly.
Just because I don't like
that little.
Not because I don't want everybody to look at me, but just because I don't want to be like everyone else, because I want to be more me.
Blend in, you know. You wanna.
And that's something I hate when I would go out to more. You'll see this more like in clubs and stuff like that. Like all the guys have the same Express shirt, button up Express shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That same. Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's all like, and I'm all here with my paisley print shirt or my
your shiny blazer.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Something like, who the hell's this guy?
Yeah,
kind of looking like one of those guys from the capital of the Hunger Games. You know how they
yeah, no, perfect, man. You know, it's that's hilarious, man, because that's always how I go by there. Like you belong at the capital, right?
Yeah.
But don't you love that, man? Because like you're seeing that fashion, and that sometimes that I kind of exchange with some of my friends. I'm like, you know, man, sometimes I put on an outfit and I look at myself in the mirror before I go out that door, and I'm like, shit, man, what am I doing? How are people gonna look at me? And then he told me, and he's like, you know what, man, I always deal with that, but you know what, at the end of the day, you gotta say, you know what, it's fashion. You know,
it's who you are.
And and you gotta you
just gotta be who you. Yeah, exactly. Like before, I'd be a little bit worried about people think a while ago, but then after, like, it just goes away. And honestly, just goes away.
Yeah,
like goes away. And you just like whatever, man. It's just you do you, and you just be who you are. And I think it's a little bit more odd, at least for us, because in this region where we live in, it's not very common. But if you were to go to maybe like a more fashion forward city,
right,
you might you wouldn't be so seen so oddly.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. You'll be like, oh yeah, this guy's just doing his thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, another guy.
yeah.
Another starving artist.
I suppose. As opposed to here, it's like what the hell? Like, what is this guy? Like, this guy's weird, and that's what they call it. Like, you know. Well, yeah, it's funny, man. I see where you're coming from, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that's like. I mean, thankfully, I tend to gravitate towards the more artistic bars per se in my city.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I don't like to say the word hipster because I think that just encapsulates one concept, but it's the more artistic.
Okay.
You know, or you have all these liberal arts majors, or you have all these people that are a little bit more out there as well, so it doesn't feel as odd.
Yeah.
You know? But if I were to
break
the challenge certain points of fashion, but
exactly.
if I were to go to a like run of the mill, just normal bar, that's where I just walk in, I see all these guys like they're
two whiskey dicks.
Yeah. Or you back to this like sports bars, and you see like guys with their jerseys and their hats, and I'm like, you've like all like more not more manly, but you know that jog, like the guy look, the dude, the bro look.
Definitely.
And I'm out here walking in with like this feather flamingo, like some kind of drag queen, just like, watch out, ladies. About to perform on stage for some kind of Broadway show.
Yeah. With your wig on.
Yeah, right. But, you know, I totally get you. But yeah, man, I think we're coming up to the hour, dude. I think we had a really good talk. Yeah. So just wanted, before we end this, just give us an update. What's next for you and your brand, and what's coming up? Any shows? Anything that you want to bring up and mention, so people know what's up with you. Also, where they can contact you.
Right, for sure. Well, the most recent one that's coming up, and it's actually coming this Saturday. I haven't really gave my answer if I'm gonna show my stuff or not, but. Because I work that day, I'm still trying to get it off. But the reason why I want to do this one is because this one's actually people are going to buy stuff. Oh, yeah.
Like willing to purchase.
Exactly. So that's the whole idea of that one. So that's happening this weekend in El Paso. And I'll post some more info on my page if I do end up doing it.
Right now, well, not right now, but when I upload with the video uploaded, we can put all those links and all that good stuff.
For sure, man. But just that, man, and other than that, then. I'll just keep posting stuff on my page that we'll put on those links and all. But no, on that note, man, just for now, you know how I said, just gonna after that kind of keep my head down until I get everything ready to produce and get my website going.
Cool, man. And just finish up, where can people find you? What's your Instagram? What's your webpage? All that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So right now I'm kind of with Instagram and Facebook, and they're both at Pinnacle Couture. So that's for Facebook and.
Can you go ahead
Instagram.
and spell Pinnacle in case people?
Yeah. Let me see if I get it right.
You don't even know how to spell your brand.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just put correct on
spelling
spelling check. I put spelling check. I don't even know how to spell it. If you were to do that, I wouldn't blame you. I do all the time. There's a lot of words I don't know how to spell. I'll be completely honest. I don't know how to spell it, and I'm just like autocorrect. I kind of wing it. I'm like, I think they might have this letter.
Right.
And then it's like
kind of sounded out.
What's worse is that when words are very similar but have different meanings, I'm like, which one's which? So I just wing it. But anyways, that's just me.
For sure. So Pinnacle is PINNCLE, and then couture is Couture.
And
So
that's your Instagram, right?
that's the
Pinnacle
Instagram.
Couture. Okay, and what's your website?
The website, it's not up and running yet.
Okay.
It's still under development, but I'll definitely link it to that once.
Okay.
I definitely say probably the Instagram is the one that's a little bit
More active. That's where you're more active.
Yeah,
Cool.
Instagram
Awesome.
for sure, but Facebook as well, and when I do shows or whatever, you could catch them there live too. So.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for the info. To catch me and more podcasts to come, anybody listening, it's Instagram of That Fashion Guy 88, Facebook That Fashion Guy 88, YouTube That Fashion Guy 88, and I do have Twitter, it's That Fashion Guy 8. I don't know why they wouldn't let me put 88. I don't know why. I think I used up all the characters.
Have them all, man.
Couldn't have it all. But yeah, go ahead and follow us. Keep so we can keep you posted with all this good stuff. But yeah, man, thanks for your time.
Yeah,
We'll
for
go
sure.
ahead and have his information linked in the description so you guys can go follow his work and all that good stuff. And I'll hopefully see you soon with another local creative / entrepreneur / influencer / whatever is good. So catch you guys later. Bye-bye.